this meeting to order, and I ask Mr. Smith to please lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. All right, lost my pen, that's okay. My pen, okay. Next thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the June 7th, 2012 council meeting. Is there a motion?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Deputy Mayor Denning, seconded by Mr. Schock. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Next thing on the agenda is acceptance of written petitions. If you would like to discuss any issues before council, there are petitions in the back of the room that look like this. Please fill one out and send it up each side of the diocese, and when we get to that portion of the meeting, we will ask you to come forward. Next thing is City Manager's report. Ms. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The weekly report from the City Manager and the monthly reports from the department heads are included in your packet. I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Manager. Are there any questions from members of council? Mr. Smith.
Just quickly, a pat on the back for the police officers. They're doing an excellent job on the OVI-RS. Since the beginning of, since the fall of last year, we've noticed an increase overall. I think they're doing an excellent job.
We're good.
Just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Appreciate that. Any other questions from members of council? I just have one on the four cities' recommendations for, and what we saw as staff continues discussion of four cities on next steps of development center flight. Do you have any idea when we are going to be having those discussions, or when they're going to come to us with them? We would really like to have those. I would really like to have those discussions.
I'm not sure if I'll do you.
The city manager's been dealing with them directly, so I don't know what the due date is on their work, but we'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as we could start having those discussions, I think
Absolutely.
it's real getting time to do that.
Agreed.
And Mullins Rubber Company, congratulations to one of our companies that received a $53,000 EDGE grant. For many of you who don't know what EDGE is, you pay 0.5% of your sales tax to EDGE, and then they decide what projects in the whole county get funded from those monies. And Riverside's been blessed with a lot of EDGE money, and this time we received $53,000 from EDGE for Mullins Rubber Company. Bob, would you like to just explain a little bit what that is going for and why we received that?
Absolutely. Mullins Rubber Company for years has been pulling out water from the aquifer to cool its molds. Mullins Rubber Company has been in Riverside since 1942, and what they make is transportation parts, which is like a support for semi-tractors. So it's a big rubber thing with a piece of metal right in the middle of it, and it's used to control the vibration in semi-tractors. So for a number of years, again since 1942, they've actually had a well. They bring the water out of the well to cool the molds, and then the water goes back in to the aquifer. Well, what they're doing now is much more efficient and a lot better for the aquifer in that it's a closed system. So now they have a cooling tower. They bring the water out of the ground, put it through a cooling tower, that goes through the molds. Once the water heats up, it goes back into the cooling tower instead of going back into the ground. Now this is a company that deals on the international markets. Their main competitors are India and China. So it's very important that they keep their cost of material down, their overhead down, and this system allows them to do that. So it's a great little project. They are a great employer of Riverside residents. Many people come right out of high school and go there. They've got a great training program and great health care services. So,
You know about how
it's a
many
real-
employees they have?
At their height, they were actually at 85, and then they went down to something like 45, and now they're edging back up at 56. So, yeah, they're, again, a real star of the community, and have been here a very long time. So it's a great little project.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's great news, great news. So, okay. Any other discussion or questions for the city manager? Seeing none, we don't have anyone that wants to discuss anything on the agenda item, so we'll move on to new business. And the first new business is ordinance number 120495. Ms. Manager?
Sure. This ordinance is brought to council for both the first and second readings and consideration for adoption this evening. The ordinance is in conjunction with our REACH program, and there will also be a resolution later on in the agenda regarding this program as well. This ordinance will declare the properties on Pocatello Avenue and Monticello Drive as surplus properties so that they can be transferred. We actually have the individuals who the properties will be transferred to in the audience today. Jimmy Fulton, which is right in the back here. They'll be getting the Monticello property. And then Chris Trafala and Bella Ireland are right here in the
Welcome.
audience. And they will be getting the Pocatello Avenue properties. The plan is to have them adjudicated on July 27th, so that is the reason for our rush here with the first and second reading and consideration for adoption.
Very good.
What was
Thank
that
you, Ms.
again?
Manager. Mr. Smith?
What was that again for July 27th? I missed that part.
Adjudicated,
Adjudicated, okay.
yeah.
So, a clear understanding, these properties were in distress and now they're being purchased by these fine people.
Correct.
Yeah, they were very far behind on their taxes, and so they go through the REAP program. The taxes are locked away, and we've got three responsible citizens here that will acquire the property and start paying taxes on that. So it takes a very depressed, underutilized property and makes it a taxpaying property again, a revenue source. So, yeah, it's a fabulous program. Again, these are the first two groups that made it through. We hope to continue that. There's about 10 more in the hopper. So.
Now, do these properties have structures on them, or are they just vacant land?
Monticello has a structure.
Yes.
And Mr. Fulton will be fixing that property up. The other ones are vacant. It's just raw land.
Okay.
And they have the house in front of it, and the acreage comes behind, and they've made a nice garden there already, and are keeping it up to date. And Mr. Fulton's now cutting the grass over there, so it's not on our grass list anymore. So they've helped us out already prior to acquiring the property.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good program.
So the REAP program takes about 2 years, is that, from when the person leaves the property to when these fine folks can buy them?
It should be shorter than that. It should be shorter than that. I think they may have been in the process now about a year. The county prosecutor is doing an expedited process to speed up the purchase. There are so many of these that it's hard to get to all of them. And so it should take about 9 months. It does go through it's supposed to go through 2 sheriff sales. If nobody buys it from the sheriff sale, then the person filling out the REAP application obtains the property.
Very good.
So,
So if anybody wants any more information on the REAP program, please contact us here at City Hall, contact Bob Murray. He'll be happy to tell you all about it. So, good. All right, any other questions about, or discussion on ordinance number 120495? Is there, we need a motion?
Second.
They've been moved by Deputy Mayor Denning, second by Mr. Denning, I mean by Mr. Schott. The city charter requires that the first reading of the ordinance be read aloud in its entirety prior to council's vote of adoption. So, Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 12-0-495, an ordinance declaring properties located at 5 Pocatello Avenue, Riverside, Ohio, parcels I-39, 00718, -0033, 34, 35, and 36, and 590 Monticello Drive, Riverside, Ohio, parcel I-39, 00705, 0079, no longer be needed for municipal purposes and to be surplus, and authorizing the city manager to execute documents necessary to transfer said properties and declaring an emergency. Whereas the city is acquiring the parcels of land located at 5 Pocatello Avenue, Riverside, Ohio, parcels I-39-00718-0033, 34, 35, and 36, and 590 Monticello Drive, Riverside, Ohio, parcel number I-39-00705-0079. And whereas the city manager reports that the land located at these addresses is no longer needed for municipal purposes, and the city manager therefore recommends that it be declared surplus and transferred in accordance with Chapter 5722 of the Ohio Revised Code and Riverside Ordinance 08-0391 Real Estate Acquisition Program, and whereas the transfer of said properties will facilitate the effective reutilization of non-productive lands situated within the boundaries of the city of Riverside to foster the return of such non-productive land to tax revenue generating status for the city of Riverside and Montgomery County. Now therefore be ordained by the Council of the City of Riverside, State of Ohio, Section 1. It is the legislative determination of this council that the municipal real property located at 5 Pocatello Avenue, Riverside, Ohio, parcels I-39-00718-0033, 34, 35, and 36, and 590 Monticello Drive, Riverside, Ohio, parcel I-39-00705-0079 is no longer needed for municipal purposes, and that said property is hereby declared to be surplus. Section 2, that the city manager or his designee is authorized to dispose of said property and is further authorized to execute agreements, property, and other documents necessary to effect the transfer of said properties, and that the law director shall participate in necessary administrative and judicial actions to actuate the transfer of such lands. Section 3, Riverside resident Christina A. Shafala has fulfilled all the requirements of the Land Utilization Program and will succeed to the ownership of 5 Pocatello Avenue, Riverside, Ohio, parcels I-39-00718-0033, 34, 35, and 36. Section 4, Riverside resident Jimmy Lewis Fulton has fulfilled all the requirements of the Land Utilization Program and will succeed to the ownership of 5 Monticello Drive, Riverside, Ohio, parcel I-39-00705-0079. Section 5, that the proceeds of the sale of any land acquired as part of this land reutilization program shall be applied and distributed in accordance with Section 5722 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 6, any cost or expense incurred by the city in connection with the acquisition, including title insurance, shall be paid from account number 100-110-5289. Section 7, that this ordinance is hereby declared to be an emergency measure by reason of the public health, safety, and welfare, and shall take effect immediately upon its passage for the reason that prompt conveyance of this land in accordance with the terms of the REAP program is necessary to eliminate the blight caused by the continued existence of the subject properties in the current condition.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Appreciate it. Is there any discussion from members of council? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Council has been requested to approve both the first and second readings and consider final adoption. If that is your will at this time, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules that dictate the number of days between the first and second readings.
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Mr. Schock, second by Deputy Mayor Denning. Is there any discussion from members of council? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. So now we'll have the second reading, and I will entertain a motion to approve the second reading by title only and final adoption of the ordinance. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Schock, second by Deputy Mayor Denning. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, clerk, please read the ordinance by title only.
Ordinance number 12-0-495. An ordinance declaring properties located at 5 Pocatello Avenue, Riverside, Ohio, parcels I-39-00718-0033, 34, 55, and 36, and 590 Monticello Monticello Drive, Riverside, Ohio, parcel I-39-00-705-0079 to no longer be needed for municipal purposes and to be surplus, and authorizing the city manager to execute documents necessary to transfer said properties and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any questions or discussions from member of council? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried, so the ordinance 120495 has been passed. Thank you, folks. Thank you very much for doing that. Now we'll go into resolutions. The first resolution is resolution number 12R1683. Madam Manager.
This resolution will authorize the acting finance director to prepare a blanket purchase orders not to exceed $400,000. This resolution was at the request of the auditor.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Is there is there a motion on the resolution?
Second.
Then motion's made by Deputy Mayor Denning, second by Mr. Schott. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yes, what are we gonna use the money for?
It just depends. It's either for blanket purchase orders. We cannot exceed $400,000. Prior, as I understand it, from speaking with Mr. Garrett, it was just not to exceed the amount of money that we had available, and the auditor has requested that we put the actual dollar limit.
What is the current situation?
Have we done this?
Right. Both questions are the same one. What is the current situation? Have we
We've
done
got
this?
a current policy passed by council a few years ago, but it's kind of open-ended, and it just says we're authorized to use blanket purchase orders up to the amount of unencumbered money, when you pass the appropriation. The auditor wanted us to be more specific and put a specific dollar amount, so really it's the same situation. Instead of just saying up to the amount of available money, we're just changing that to a hard dollar figure.
Mr. Faulkner.
So is $400,000 a magic number?
Yeah, where did you
What
get the
determines-
400,000?
I just looked through the list of the blanket purchase orders. The largest one we wrote was about $245,000, so I just added a little bit of margin onto it.
So what is the purpose of a blanket?
Blanket purchase order, well, in order to buy anything or pay any bill, we have to issue a purchase order. So we can do, a specific for that one-time purchase. A blanket purchase order allows us to write kind of a basket purchase order for similar purchases, and we can use it multiple times. So our practice has been at the beginning of a quarter, we may write a blanket purchase order for, say, travel or contracted services. And then we just, when we get bills in, we pay against that purchase order instead of having to write individual purchase orders for each bill that comes in.
I guess that makes sense. Any other questions? Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Next motion needed is on resolution number 12R1684. Ms. Manager.
This resolution will advance $77,800 from the general fund to the Edge Development Fund to cover the cost for the city's Edge grant and grants from the RTA. Both grants are reimbursable grants, so the city will be reimbursed upon our submittal of invoices.
Great. Thank you very much. Is there a motion from council?
Second.
Been moved by Deputy Mayor Denning, second by Mr. Schott. Is there any discussion from members of council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Smith.
These are for RTA bus stops, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, some of it is,
It's
some
three
of it is
things.
for
It's
the
the
Edge
two
grant.
RTA grants, plus that Mullins Rubber Edge grant.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, $53,000 for the Edge grant and $24,800 for the bus stop.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Next is resolution number 12R1685. Ms. Manager.
Thank you. This resolution will authorize the city manager to sign an amendment to the city's agreement with the Montgomery County Department of Development for the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, Phase 3. The amendment will add 5 additional properties to our agreement and also extends the completion date from September 30th to December 31st.
So moved.
Second.
It's It's been moved by Mr. Schock, second by Deputy Mayor Denning. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Fulenkamp.
So this will be in addition to the current $115,000 that we've gotten in the grant, or?
No, it's the same $115,000, however, we need to bid out the 5 additional properties, and we don't foresee us being able to bid it and complete all the demolition by September 30th.
So it's really the time extension that you're.
Right.
More than a month.
Right.
Okay, good. Any other discussion on the motion? Mr. Kirk.
Comment. I'm really not ready to demolish 5513 Huberville. One of our concerns has been economic development. Several months ago, when we were looking at purchasing 5610, the big white building, 5601, whatever the big white building is over there. We had some other properties on there too. One of the things I mentioned was it would be good to consider doing a demonstration project over there just to show that we can do some basic economic development. Wasn't enough support on the council for that to go through. I still think there's opportunity to develop demonstration projects over there, and I think as long as we start scraping off some of these properties, demolishing them, then some of that opportunity goes away. I don't think it's a risk as far as interfering with whatever Forest City brings forward, because one of the things we've heard or read in their documentation in the past is it's going to take 20 to 25 years to fully build out the center flight development. And I think we can work this in. We control the property, we control whatever goes in there through a lease. It's not a case of somebody coming in and being there and never going away and interfering with our development of center flight based on whatever recommendations Forest City comes in with. And I'll give you a basic example. You know, right across the street of the Air Force Museum, I haven't looked at their schedule for this summer, but they have all this activity that goes on there on the weekends. And we could have put, had we chosen to do a demonstration project, we could have put in one of these properties that we purchased, one of these houses, some type of a retail activity that might be attractive to the visitors that come to the museum, might be attractive to some of the groups that come in for reunions, that sort of thing. For example, you could probably run a Dairy Queen ice cream store out of there during the summer. And people would stop there either on their way to the museum or on the way back. You could probably have somebody like the Greek Isle Deli that's over in Page Manor Shopping Center, put a little sandwich shop in there on the weekends when we have all this traffic. And the point is, we have these potential things we could do as a demonstration project, and we're not doing anything. And I just think to buy these and tear them down and not try and do something is just losing out on an opportunity. So I'm not ready to vote on one that would include this Huberville property.
Thank you, Mr. Kirk. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I vote no.
Please show the record that Mr. Kirk has voted no on this resolution. Moving on to resolution number 12R1686, Ms. Manager.
Thank you. Per council's request, this resolution will initiate text amendments to the Planning and Zoning Code Chapter 1181 and will direct the Planning Commission to draft the proposed amendment governing the placement of patriotic, charitable, or civic character signs within the right of way.
Thank you, Ms. Manager. It's been moved by Mr. Schock, second by Deputy Mayor Denning. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I have
Mr. Kirk?
some discussion. I think I would be more supportive of this if we took out any reference to groups or organizations such as references to patriotic, charitable, or civic character. If in the first sentence, we took that out. And I think we've gotten clear direction from the law director that we can't discriminate. And I know that all we're doing is asking the planning commission to review this, but what we're really asking them to do is review that part of 1181 that deals with putting signs in the public right of way, regardless of what the entity or organization is. And I'm sure they can figure it out, but I just prefer that we not have that language in there.
I agree with Mr. Kirk.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Kirk. I'd recommend that we strike, or this is what I will read, we use the first sentence, this council hereby directs the City of Riverside Planning Commission to draft a proposed textual amendment to Chapter 11, Planning and Zoning Code 1181, governing placement of signs in the right-of-way, period. We shouldn't be directing people to go against what we know is going to be struck down if we're ever. I mean, well, I'm uncomfortable crafting the law, and if it comes before me, I'll vote against it, that we know is unconstitutional. And if we try to control content, which is what these types of statements imply, I won't support it. Because I'm not willing to put the city at risk. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I agree with your comments. And stopping the resolution at the end of, within the public right of way. In section 1 there. I think that makes good sense. So, Mr. Mayor, do we need a motion?
No, we have a motion on the floor right now, and so,
We agree.
you guys agree?
We can, yeah.
See, on the other hand, I mean, we're telling them
It's
just to
kind of broad,
talk
but not
about
broad
it.
enough, see, is
What
what
we're
I'm
asking,
saying.
what we're asking them to do is take a look at, and this is all we were asking before. This is the opposite, and the reason I didn't vote for it the last time is that we were directing them to specifically take something out. And I think that they are an intelligent group of people. They can make their own determination of what we need to do based on that information. I don't think we need to tell them that we want to take specifically patriotic, civic, da-da-da-da. I think what we want them to do is take a look at that sign ordinance, period, and come to the determination of what we need to do with signs in our right of way. Just in the right of way, okay? And that's what we're asking them to do, and that's all the resolution should really say, is take a look at what we've got. What we've got is not really correct. What is in the best interest of this community to answer the questions and the stuff that the law director has directed us with.
So both of you agreed, so would you please read back the motion?
Well, I have one question. In section 1, it does refer to those signs of patriotic, charitable, and civic character twice. You want to
Struck
take it
from
out?
both, yes.
Strike from both.
Mary Ann, if you go down section 1, and you see chapter 1181, governing placement of signs, you strike everything
Right.
until it says within the public right of way, and then everything after that
And
gets struck.
everything after that?
That's my recommendation.
Well, I mean, I think you could end it in public interest, but I don't know. It doesn't.
That's where I was in.
I was thinking public interest, but
Yeah, I was ending it there, is what I was
I
striking
don't,
it
does it
out.
change anything?
No, that wouldn't change it. It seemed broad, but I think we need a little broader than that.
Says no signs within the public right of way.
In proposing such regulations, the commission shall weigh the public interest.
So you're saying to stop it at the end of public right of way? Is that what you said?
That's what we said.
Either way would work. Either way would work. I mean, they'll weigh the public interest. I think on their own. I don't think we have to tell them to do that. Do we, sir?
Okay,
Now,
all right, is that agreeable to you, Mr. Schock?
Just to end it the right way.
The, I would, yeah, well, that is the end of the period there on that sentence.
Yeah.
We have to continue on
So
there.
we can just stop there.
On that. Now, would it, would it be better if we withdraw our motions and
No, I think,
just go ahead and as,
I think the
just strike,
motion, the motion would be that we approve.
what we did, we approved it, passed it
As we've amended.
as amended.
yes.
Because really, we would have to almost have a second motion, really, for the amendment, if I'm
No.
not,
No.
if you want to play the Robert's Rules of Order, card, we would have to vote on the amendment, then we go back and vote on the resolution itself. Is that true, Mr. Kerr?
But.
All we did was strike part.
I mean-
All we did was
So we didn't
strike.
amend
from-
it.
Yeah,
No, I
but
don't
we
think that's
amended the resolution as was written.
Okay, we haven't voted on anything yet, so
Right.
if you want to
What do
be,
you want to do? You're right.
if you want to do it technically correct, then whoever made the motion can withdraw their motion and
Right.
make a new motion with this.
With-
Yeah,
two-
okay.
with
So-
amended,
So I
yeah.
withdraw the second. You withdraw the
I'll
motion.
withdraw the first,
Okay, so,
and then I'll make a motion on the 12R 1686, pass as corrected or amended.
As amended.
Pass as amended, I'll say
Okay.
corrected.
Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Yeah.
Next one is resolution number 12R 1687, Ms. Manager.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the city manager to submit a grant application to the Ohio Department of Public Safety in order to obtain funding for a roadway safety engineering study for the Harshman, Woodland, and Airway intersection.
So moved.
second.
Been moved by Mr. Schock, second by Deputy Mayor Denny. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yeah.
Mr. Fulenkamp.
So what prompted this? Have we discussed this before? I'm not certain. Because
It's part of this.
this is, given the new situation up there is when the study, is the intention to do the study based upon the new traffic light system up at Airway Road?
No.
What is it?
This is for Airway and Woodland, the exact corner there. And what's prompting this is the development of the future development of the corner lot.
Which you're talking about?
Not McDonald's, but the corner lot, like catty corner from Wendy's
Wendy's.
and the old, yes. There's a lot going to be going on there. This is a zero match grant. It was recommended by LJB. We have talked about it before, and it is part of the Airway Corridor study, the Woodland Airway Corridor, and it was part of the TIF discussion. So this is the first.
But it's not part of the TIF itself.
Absolutely
In a
not,
sense it's
because this is a grant, so it's independent of everything. So with everything that could be going on there shortly, this money is just $20,000 from the state of Ohio to take a first look at what's going on there. This was recommended by ODOT and LJB for us to pursue. LJB will be filling out the document, and it's due by July the 1st. And so this is just another little thing we need to look at as Mid-America progresses with what they're doing. So, yeah, and again, it's 100% grant. There's no city money going into this. So.
Any other discussion from members of council? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Next resolution is number 12R 1688, Ms. Manager.
Thank you. This resolution is kind of the companion to the ordinance that you all passed earlier this evening, part of the REAP process, and it authorizes the city manager to accept ownership of the properties, which will then be transferred to, well, some of the people are still in the audience, but Mr. Lewis and Ms. Ireland and Shabala.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Denning, second by Mr. Schock. Is there any discussion on the motion? So the reason we're doing this is just because Sheree tells us we got to.
Basically,
The city attorney recommended it.
yeah.
Here, we're accepting the property. We do that through resolution, and then the city attorney recommended that only by ordinance can we transfer a property. And so we, because of our schedule, we had the ordinance first and the resolution second.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. That includes all the business part of the meeting. We are now moving to public comment on non-agenda items. So we're going to first go to kind of agenda items, but that was work session items. Ms. Edith Ann Mitchell, would you please come to our podium? Try and keep your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Hello, I'm Edith Ann Mitchell, and I live at 1125 Main. And I just wanted to comment a little bit, just for your information, on some of the things you were talking about in work session. Now, when I was first married to my first husband in the early 70s, we lived in western Ohio in a rural area. To take out trash, there was no trash takeout. So we had to recycle, reuse, and what we didn't, we had to take and pay to have dumped in landfill. So we learned to compost everything that could be compost, burn what we could, reuse what we could, and in reality, we ended up only having to go to the dump once or twice a year with a pickup load of trash. Right now, I've been adhering to the little sign on the recycle bin, which I found out I didn't have to, with the plastic, the cans and the glass. And even then, that recycle bin is not big enough for all my recyclables. And there are times I know my husband went in the middle of the night or late at night when I wasn't looking and took some of that recycle and put it in the regular trash because our recycle bin was overflowing. And I do know that when people have to, especially if it would cost them extra, they will recycle. We did because we didn't want to pay and do all the work it was to taking everything to the landfill. And we, like I said, we reduced our trash to a bare minimum. And it was rather simple and less painful than paying more. The other thing I wanted to comment on was the red lights. Now, I hear that you don't want to use red light cameras. Personally, I don't care one way or the other, but when I was coming in today, I pulled up at the light to turn, and it was green, but the traffic was heavy coming the other way, and the light turned yellow. Well, I always wait to make sure that everybody is going to stop at the light, and there was traffic coming. I could see they were beginning to slow down. I probably, if they were all slowing down, I could have turned. But there was one truck that was not slowing down, and it was obvious that he was even possibly picking up speed. So I sat there and waited because I'm not pulling into an intersection unless I know it's going to be clear and I'm not going to get hit. Well, I knew the light was going to turn red before he got there, and it did. And then he did decide to stop, and by the time he came to a stop, his truck was already halfway into the intersection. So if I had turned, I would have been creamed. I drive Woodman all the time, and I can tell you every week I'll see at least one person running a red light, pushing a yellow light, and barely making it. And So if we're not going to use the red light cameras, which are fine, does this mean we're going to increase police activity on Woodman to stop this running red lights, because they do it regularly? We have had a lot of accidents, especially at Burkhart. I think there was an accident there, not too long ago. You know, what are we going to do about it? That's what I'm interested in.
Thank you very much. Next person asked to speak is our Ms. Judy Horn. Ms. Horn, would you please come to the podium? Welcome.
Hello, my name is Judy Horn, and I'm president of the Riverside Historical Society. And this morning, Mayor Cloudy came to our office and shared with us that there was some misinformation going on about the Historical Society. So I thought it'd be a good idea just to make public exactly how we do function. So up until 4 years ago, we met in the old City Hall. And when it came time for us to move out of that building, the city, with Mr. Murray, negotiated with the Airway Shopping Center to see if we could move into one of the empty stores. And they so graciously agreed to let us do that rent-free. So we pay no rent at all. So that's how we afford to be there. And we are a totally volunteer organization. We have no paid members. We do have fundraisers to generate some income. But I drive my own car. Up until last September, I drove a car that had Riverside historical signs on it. And a lot of people assume that the car was provided to us by the society. Our fundraisers are not that good. So we drive our own vehicles. We have no paid positions. And that was the main things that they were concerned with. We're associated with the city, but not really a part of the city. We appreciate all the help that we get from the city. And we really appreciate the donation of the space, because it gave us the opportunity of having a museum that we could show all the donations that people have given us. We have things, of course, mostly Riverside, but we do have also the surrounding area. And it was commented by the Ohio Historical Society, it was one of the best moves we ever made, because most of your historical societies you have to drive to. We're right there. We brought the history to the people. We're right across from the bank, and so we did a lot of foot traffic. So it was one of the best moves that we could make. So I just wanted everybody to know that's how we are operating.
And I recommend that everybody stop down and see the Historical Society Museum. It's an excellent tribute to Riverside.
I didn't think we'd ever fill it. I was really wrong. We have a nice museum. Come see
Thank
us.
you, Ms. Horn. Thank you for everything you do for our city.
You're welcome.
And I just want to piggyback a little bit on the correspondence that I did receive. It was an unsigned letter. Lately, we've been receiving more unsigned letters. And I just want folks to know that what I do with unsigned letters, except for this one, I throw them in the trash. I do not recognize them. If you don't have the courage or the whereabouts to sign a letter, then I don't believe that is something that I need to take very seriously. So I'm asking you, begging you, please, if you've got a concern, and a letter that, like that one, wasn't even nasty or really, it just had some bad information in it, but, and I'd love to have contact with the person who wrote that. Please, if you're going to send me a letter, if you're going to send any of us on council a letter, I ask you, please, have the courage or have the thoughts, or call us. If you don't want your name used, call us and ask us not to use your names. That's fine. So please, sign your letters. Unsigned letters are not something that I do. Okay. Thank you very much. Next thing on the agenda is council member comments. Are there any council member comments?
I have, Ms. Brent, I want everybody, This Saturday and Sunday, the Lily Creek volunteers are going to be cleaning up Lily Creek, and they're looking for anybody that would be interested in helping them. So if you're interested in helping, I believe it's 10 till whenever they get done, and they're trying to clear out like 500 feet of Lily Creek. So, and they're looking for all volunteer help they can get. I know Mr. Smith has said he's going to volunteer. I'm going to try and work at least a couple hours into my schedule, but I didn't put my name in there because I wasn't sure when my schedule was going to work for that. But I'm going to try and get down there and help clean with that. So I think it's part of not just cleaning Lily Creek, but it's part of being a community and helping neighbors.
Remember what the address is that they should?
510.
It's on the end of Barrett.
510, 520 Barrett.
End of Barrett.
5842, 5848 is where the
Right
dumpster
from the
is.
Barrett on the right-hand side,
So,
on the south side.
It's near the park itself.
Yes. So
Come
it'd
on
probably be
down.
best to park in the
So
park.
come on down and bring your gloves and your work boots and I'm bringing a chainsaw.
Don't forget, we're gonna provide lunch.
They're gonna provide lunch on Saturday. So it'll be a good time.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Denny. Any other discussion? Okay, just quickly, the Historical Society has asked me to ask the elected officials and the department heads to have a picture of them when they were young and actually in the 50s. I got down here because Ms. Horn, do you want to? Some of us were barely born.
Our ice cream social this year is going to be bigger and better. And it's going to be with the 50s. You're going to have to come down. You're not going to believe us all in poodle skirts. And I don't know how we're going to dovetail that here, but we're going to try. Anyhow, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we thought it would be fun if we could have pictures of you in the 50s and see if people could guess who you are.
I was here.
Also, a jitterbug, our swing contest. If you want to brush up on your dancing, we're going to have a dance contest.
What was one of the big things in the 50s? Davy Crockett.
Oh, David
Okay, so if you
Crockett's
were
going
born
to
in
be
the
there.
50s, then please,
I have to send you a picture of my dad.
we'll have to, so anyway, you'll be hearing more about that, so.
You guys are included. I want your pictures too.
You gotta remember the 50s was the Korean War too. The
Okay.
early 50s was the Korean War.
Pardon?
The Korean War was in the early 50s, from 1951 to 1953, if I remember correctly. It was a 3-year war.
Whatever pictures you want to share with us, I'd love to have.
So you can always dress up in a Korean War era
Yeah,
too,
you
when you're
could.
50s.
Right?
Okay, summer food service program is going on. Now I just pulled the 45431. I tried to pull the rest and couldn't, but if any children under the age of 18 wants a lunch, Beverly Gardens is from 11:15 to 11:45 every day of the week. It's just during the week. Overlook Mutual Homes, 1 to 1:30. Seville Elementary is from 10:45 to 11. Virginia Stevenson has lunches from 11:30 to 11:45. So if you know any hungry kids who want to have lunch, or any kids that want to have lunch, please go to those. I assume that Aurora Park always has done it also. I just didn't get that information, but you can find that by going on to the internet there. So I sent you all some information about tax uniformity that the mayors and managers are working on. And they have asked us to pass a resolution. I believe that resolution was included in the email. They want us to do this as soon as possible because it is a very hot topic. It's still a hot topic in Columbus. They want to pass something very badly, and we don't want. Actually, the mayors and managers are recommending that they don't pass some of it, but in order to get ahead of them, we believe that if we pass a resolution that at least gives uniformity, they may be able, our House reps and senators will give up a little bit of some of the other issues that they have, including central collection. And that's a big thing we want to stop, is central collection. So if we do uniformity, there's a good chance that central collection will go away. That's our sincere hope and expectation. So we'll be bringing this to council as soon as possible. So please, if you need any more information from that, please contact me, contact the city manager, or any of the mayors and managers. We feel this is a very important move, and our area is the first one that's doing it, and we're hoping that the rest of the state of Ohio jumps on board with that. I want to welcome General Haywood. He took General Arney's place. I can't remember General Arney's last name, but went to the change of command, and it was a nice occasion, and welcome General Haywood on your behalf. And let me see, I did 5 weddings, so they were down a little bit, but I got 4 tomorrow, so that's good. And last thing I just want to talk about is that I will be leaving for Turkey the next day or 2. And it is the country of Turkey. There we are doing a goodwill visit there. And it's a very important visit. At this point there's a lot of, it's called the Ahishka Turks, who are settling in our area. We actually have the largest concentration of Ahishka Turks in North Dayton. They are coming here. They are being persecuted in their home country of Georgia, and there's a long history lesson that go as to why they are doing that. They are actually Turks, but they became disjointed when Russia broke up, and so now they don't have rights. Georgia's not giving them rights. They can't go back to Turkey. They're in a quandary. So, but they want to come to Riverside. They want to come to Dayton, and we are welcoming them. They're coming with green cards. They're coming with jobs, or they're at least trying to do things that create jobs. For example, we have a Turkish barbershop on the road, so owned by Turks and run by Turks, and a lot of the Turkey folks go there. So we're going there to try and help these folks find a country, find a home. So Mayor Lightsoe, Mayor Cameron from Trotwood, and myself, and a couple of our economic development directors, including Murray Woodbob, will be making presentations to a lot of the head of the chambers. We will be meeting the President of Turkey and the Prime Minister of Turkey. At least that's on the agenda for now. So it's going to be very interesting times for me. I've been out of the country for 30 years, so I'm looking forward to it. So if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to talk to Bob Murray or myself, and we will be glad to let you know what's going on with that. So is there any other discussion, any council member comments? Seeing none, no, is there a need for executive session, Madam Manager? Okay.
I make a motion
There's been
for recess. Oh, no, I mean for adjournment.
Been a motion by Mr. Schock, is there a second? Second. Second by Deputy Mayor Denning. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much for coming. Appreciate you spending time with us.